to the Select Board meeting for today, Monday, March 1st at 5 o'clock. Please join me for Pledge of Allegiance. And one nation, under God. All right. No Jen's here. Jay, you with us? Jay Joyce? Everybody else hear me? Jay?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Just want to make sure you're there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Senator Lester, 505. Oh, there you are.
Yep.
Senator, how are you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yes. Yes, good to see you.
You too. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Nice quiet time. Nothing going on.
Yeah. Well, I'll speak for the board a little bit, but thank you for joining us tonight. I know we definitely greatly appreciate it. We appreciate everything you've been doing for us, for our town, and as well for our state. So if you want, I'll let you open it up, and then we'll follow in with some questions and things like that.
Great. Well, I'll be brief because I want to make sure we, more have a dialogue. But, I do look forward to our annual select board visits, around budget time. And unfortunately, this year we're doing it remote, although, I do appreciate the precautions everyone's taken to keep everyone safe. Hopefully next year's we will be all together. But, I just want to say and state for the record, just my appreciation to the town of Granby and to the leadership of Granby for what's been a very, obviously very, very challenging year for everyone, but in particular for our local leaders. You've been juggling a lot, schools, emergency response, now the vaccine distribution. So I hope and I hope the community knows that I view nothing more central to my job or to my role than being an advocate for our cities and towns and the people who live in them. Here in the First Hampden and Hampshire district. So I just want to express my appreciation, solidarity to all of you. And, I'll just say just sort of on a top line level, as we prepare for the FY22 budget, which is the main purpose for my visit, but of course we'll talk about anything the board wants. I actually think the worst case scenarios in terms of funding are not materializing, thank God, and knock on wood. The budget projections are actually in decent shape, and the governor's H1 budget, which came out about a month ago, had even some modest increases, very modest, but modest increases in local aid and in Chapter 70. And I do think that if the trajectory we're on continues, we will have, and I want to be measured and guarded about this, but I think we will have some more wiggle room for even more, potentially more aid by the time the Senate does its budget in May. This is a bit of a moving target, but we're watching the revenue numbers each month come in, and so far they've actually been pretty good. Obviously, that's all dependent on variants, new surges, vaccine rollouts. So we're just in a uniquely unstable and unpredictable period. But want you to know that support for our local communities and local aid in particular is, absolutely top of line. And before we just get into kind of dialogue and Q&A, I also do want to point out, vaccine equity and vaccine distribution in particular for our Western Mass and our smaller communities in Western Mass is a significant focus of mine right now. Along with our neighbor, Senator Joe Comerford from Northampton, and actually our fellow Granby representative, Mindy Dahm. All three of us sit on the COVID-19 Oversight Committee that was recently named by the Speaker and the Senate President. And we had the governor personally testify last week. And I have to say, I've been dissatisfied with how the vaccine rollout has gone thus far. I think in particular for our small towns and our rural communities and our inner city communities in Western Mass, we've got unique needs here there needs to be more proactivity, frankly, in getting the vaccine doses to our communities, especially our small communities, and especially here in Western Mass. So that's going to be a major focus of mine for the next several weeks. Hopefully by that point, the situation will be better. But I'm not happy with how the state is doing in that regard. So with that, I know there's a lot of questions. We probably have the 202 project to talk about and other things, but I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair, so we can just answer questions for the back and forth for the time we've got. And I'm happy to stay as long as people want. So there's no rush on my end.
Well, thank you, Senator. I appreciate that. What I'm going to do is open it up to the board members. We'll start off with Mr. Joyce, and we'll move on to Ms. Silva shortly after. So, Jay, if you have anything for Senator.
Nice headset.
Yeah, well, when you flew a helicopter for over 3,000 hours, you can't hear. So this is the only way I can really hear. So this is why I do it this way.
Looks great. You look like you're in a cockpit.
Well, pretty much so, except I had to wear a helmet, not a headset. I'm pretty sure you're aware of the memorandum of understanding that Granby has with Solar Block because of Senator John Velas, because he's on your committee. So I'm pretty much sure that you know that we're still in the final running to get that done. And when that project is completed, because we're hoping, of course, to win, it'll alleviate a lot of the problems that are facing a lot of schools and other public buildings, and not only our state, but across the country. Because we all know the 60s was the baby boomer era and everything was built the same. And our school is really not much, the junior, senior high school is not much different than those brick and mortar type buildings with no insulation, no individual environmental controls, whether it's heat, air conditioning, or nowadays air circulation. But it's looking really good, Eric. In fact, the president of Solar Block called me today. They had a one-on-one call with the Department of Energy. It's all moving forward. What they're looking for to accomplish this year, just to give you a quick heads up, is they're planning on putting a wall on the south side of the school this year where their cafeteria is, so it doesn't interfere with the classrooms. And they're putting a wall on the north side where the gymnasium is this year, so it doesn't interfere with the classrooms, because they have to wait until we totally won, so you get all the money before we can do everything to the classrooms what we would like to do, which was because the building only has 1 3/4 inches of brick like everyone else with no insulation. That'll be increased to 6 inches thick with insulation. It'll have HVAC equipment, which will include heat, air conditioning, air circulation with HEPA filters, and it'll actually have outlets for IT infrastructure as well. And it's looking very, very good. And I think it's going to solve a lot of the problems. And with people like you in your position, being so local, you can see it happening, and it can help you as go on throughout the state with your counterparts. And the gentleman from Jason from Solar Block, the president, wanted me to make sure I tell you that all the material is manufactured in Western Massachusetts with Chicopee, North Adams, and Pittsfield. So, because he knows you're head of the economic development with John on your committee, and his plan is he wants to have more jobs for all the people in Western Massachusetts once this thing gets really hot and rolling. So I don't know if you have any particular questions on that or not. I can answer them if you want, or we can just move on to another subject if you like.
No, I mean, I'll
Do you
just
have
say for the
anything?
record, I'll just say for the record, no, I'm
Okay.
excited about the project, and I know, Jay, you've reached out to me about it and kept me posted. At some point, I'd love to get over there and just, I know there was a day that there was a tour and I had a conflict on my schedule, but I would like to get over there, soon. So, no, I mean, I'm excited about it. I mean, frankly, anything we can do to improve, our facilities, improve our school buildings, and especially, create jobs locally in the process is a major, something we should really highlight. And the green and environmental element is important too, and I think would have important statewide implications.
Well, according to the president of Solar Block, it's going to be more beneficial to the east because this is vertical solar, so the solar walls versus the eastern part of the state doesn't have all the land that we do out here for the solar fields. So it's really going to help them a lot more.
Interesting.
And most of the
Yeah.
roofs.
Nice.
So I'll just leave that alone for that. And the only other thing is the Route 202 water project. I know the board directed Mr. Martin to reach out to all our politicians, yourself and our two representatives at our June meeting, and we haven't heard anything really back. And Mr. Martin told me the other day that Mass DOT hasn't contacted him yet in as much as official starting, because I guess the town has to give up so much land as well. He can, this is what he told me, and we've heard there's been meetings between South Hadley and Mass DOT, but we have sewer pipes in 202 that have to be watched, and there's been no invitation for Granby. And we were really, really disappointed when Mass DOT took the in-kind money back, because that's what put us there to make it. And then, as you know, with no gatherings allowed because of COVID, there's no way possible that we could go to any special town meeting and request more money from the people. It's virtually impossible. And the rumor has it, Mass DOT still plans on starting the project in this spring. We don't know a date or anything like that. And if we miss that, the 5-year rule kicks in, which means you can't do anything to the road for 5 years. So I don't know what you can do to help us with, because I mean, our residents have taken 2 votes on this project, and overwhelming 2/3 majority both times voted to finance this. I don't know what else to say.
Just a quick point of inquiry, Jay, or for the board, just so I'm completely up to date on this, because I have been following it, and I know Joel from my office, we've been keeping a close eye on this. But my understanding is that the issue was that the town wanted to do the water line concurrently with the state doing the repaving itself of the road, but that the budget for the water line came under, and there wasn't an ability to adjust it. And now, so where is it now? Is there a concern that they're going to move forward with the road paving, but you won't have time to do
I'm sorry, you're breaking up, Eric.
Oh, I was just going to say, can you kind of just give me a status update of where it's at right now? Is the issue that you're concerned that you won't be able to do the vote to do the extra money for to fix the water at the same time they do the paving, or you're not able to commit the extra money?
Okay, I don't know about my other counterparts, but you were broken up when you were talking, so I didn't
everyone
get
else
all
hear
you
me?
said. But okay, basically, the people of Granby have authorized us $1.2 million by way of a loan. Originally, Mass DOT said we could have $560,000 in in-kind funds, which was later readjusted to $360,000 in in-kind funds. And in the bid that came out, I remember it was June the 12th because it was my mother's birthday. That's why I remember that. The lowest bidder wanted $800,000 to put a pipe over that Stony Brook Bridge, if you remember that. And that put a burden of extra $500,000 on Granby and took it away from the state. but he was the low bidder. And if any one of the other three people had won it, we would have been all set based
Right,
upon their
right.
bids, the way the distribution. And Mr. Martin can correct me, I mean, totally if I'm wrong, our board had a meeting on June the 18th and directed him to try and schedule a meeting with all our representatives. And we know you had COVID-19 issues. I mean, that's just a fact of life nowadays. But if we don't get in before the 5-year rule kicks in, we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess what, I'm familiar with this and I remember the timeline. I mean, I think what I would just say is, the rules of the project are the rules of the project. I mean, these projects come out of the state's capital budget. So there's an application process through MassDOT, so they're not directly appropriated, through us. And so if the town's portion is more than you had budgeted or expected, that's unfortunate, but under the rules of that specific program, I'm not sure we have much flexibility. We have talked to MassDOT about this. Another potential is a different state development program, for example, MassWorks, or the new one-stop capital application program that EOHED announced earlier this year could also be an option. But it's unfortunately not so simple. If the town share of the project for the water the bid came out higher than the town had originally planned, it's not so simple to just ask the state to cover that gap, just given the rules of that specific paving program. So it's an unfortunate situation. I did definitely acknowledge that. I think moving forward, we can certainly help with identifying other application programs that might be more suitable, and/or helping in other ways to get some aid to the town to help offset the unexpectedly high cost of the water. If that makes sense. But but unfortunately, if the town's going to do the water, the state's going to do the surface, the state's going to provide in-kind support to help make it more efficient to do both at the same time, but the town's portion ends up being more than was originally budgeted. The way that program works, there's not a lot of flexibility for the state to cover that unexpected increase.
I can understand that, but I think we have to look at the times that we're in. If we're only talking like $100,000 or $200,000 difference maximum, but we were not allowed to go back to the people and tell them that, because we're not allowed to have a special town meeting.
Right. Yeah, and so if there's issues with process, or that the meet wasn't, you couldn't do a town meeting, or it wasn't realistic to do a town meeting, because of COVID and all those other things. I mean, I think those are important sort of mitigating circumstances that we can try to help work with you on MassDOT. But again, what I'd say is there's a broader array of potential help, whether it's from MassWorks or from this new development fund that was just announced. And then there's also, potentially budget items where we can get some help to the town for other expenses that could help offset this unexpected increase. So I hear loud and clear it's frustrating. Unfortunately we've dealt with these projects in multiple towns, and I definitely feel the frustration. So we're certainly committed to advocating for you moving forward.
But unfortunately, there is no moving forward if we don't get the first segment in from South Hadley. And if the Mass DOT 5-year rule kicks in, we're dead. We're dead in the water. Not using it as a pun. We're just plain, if we can't get the water coming out of South Hadley on the first segment, you can't do the segments down the road.
Right.
So we're stuck. And that's what the people want in the town. I say twice they voted over a 2/3 majority to do this. Don't know what to tell them, but I say we can't have a special town meeting, not even now. I mean, if there's some way we could get a couple $100,000 from something to get this thing rolling and get in there with Mass DOT now. I don't know, there must be something in somebody's rainy day fund because of COVID-19 to do something. Again, I'm not a procurement person. I'm not a legislator like you that knows what goes on. But if we don't get in before the 5-year rule kicks in, it will not happen.
Yeah, no,
It just will
understood.
not.
We don't, sorry to interrupt, Jay, and we haven't received a date yet, right? When they're looking to start, this is a spring project. I mean, it would definitely be helpful, it'd be definitely helpful if we had a start date. I mean, then we have like maybe a clock to work with as far as, looking at a town meeting or something like that. But right now,
Right.
it's just, there's nothing set, so we don't know what our window
In
is.
theory, it would be this spring, right? I mean, soon, or this construction season, right? Because it was approved for this, for the next warm weather cycle.
Well, that's what they're saying, sorry, Senator, that's what they're saying, this spring, but it'd be helpful, like I said, if it was this spring, it's, June 15th would be a start date, then that gives us something to work with as far
Right.
as the clock, so we have, trying to put together
Yeah.
maybe the town meeting.
No, that's a point well taken, and there's not really an excuse for them not giving you a start date. So we can certainly we can certainly follow up on that. So you're saying that if
Yeah,
you
we
had,
need
like,
what-
in theory, if you had a date, you'd be able to then work backwards from that date to do either a town meeting vote or some other appropriation to fill that gap for the water project.
Yeah, it gives us a time frame to work with.
Yep, understood. Okay, no, that's helpful.
Because the project has to go out for bid, and Mr. Martin would know over 60 or 90 days it takes for the bidding process to do that. But, we don't want to go out, pay the money for all the specifications to go out to bid if we can't afford it. Why waste that money for that?
Right.
And unfortunately, and we know how tied up everybody is with COVID-19. I mean, this year, like you stated in the beginning, has been stressful for everybody with work overloads, trying to get everything done.
No, but they can give you a date. I mean, they obviously have the construction date, right? I would assume, because they're working with contractors, so there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to give you that. So that's helpful to know.
Do you think there's any way possible we could get back on this? Go ahead, Glenn.
No, I just said if you had anything else, and you do.
No, those are the only two things, because I say, one is for the town of Granby, and that's the water project. The second one is for the Granby Junior Senior High School, but it's going to benefit everybody. I mean, we never thought we'd make it this far with the Federal Department of Energy as a finalist for the project. And then as this stuff has come on, these people from Solar Block and the other contractors have been so great, adding the HVAC for the 5-year exchanges, adding the IT infrastructure, all into the original project. I mean, I'd be amazed to see how these people have adjusted and moved on.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. Bringing up those two topics. I'll turn it over to Jen. Jen, do you have anything for the senator?
I did, but Jay covered it. It was all about 202 water project.
Yeah. So just so I'm clear on this, because I know we've gone, I just want to confirm, would you put back on the town meeting, and or would you call a special town meeting for that gap in funding between the bid that was offered for the water and what you've already approved, or is it still up in the air whether that would move forward? Because that would be helpful for us to know in our engagements with, I don't know, maybe to the chair. Is it the consensus of the board that a new special town meeting would be called to do that, or is that still up in the air?
I think that's something that the board would definitely look at,
I think you would
as Jay talked about, 2/3 of our town meeting had voted for it. And,
Right.
I think it's our responsibility to bring it forward, say, well, this is where we are now. These are our options we have, and, let the town make that decision, whether they see the need to spend more money and move forward.
Yep. Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
And Eric, if the in-kind fund was reinstated, it would be a minimum amount of money for the residents of Granby to come up with and the difference on what we're proposing. But if the in-kind money is not there, the residents of Granby would end up paying for the same work twice. They pay for it out of their, they pay for it on their own property.
That was always the goal of trying to time it with the repaving,
Right.
because why would you rip the road up twice? Yeah. No, it makes sense. So, no, I've got it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
you.
We will, it will, we're not going to rest until this project, until we're at the ribbon cutting. You've got my commitment on that.
All right. Just quickly, I wanted to ask Mr. Martin if he had anything for you, Senator. No? Okay. He's gonna hold till another time to talk to you, I guess.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm all set because again, some of the questions I had were definitely about the 202 project. So, Senator, I just want to thank you for your time. I know we greatly appreciate it, and from the board, we do wish you the best, and keep on plugging along as you're doing.
No, we appreciate it. No, and we'll be back at Charter Day soon enough. So, and there's a lot of fun things to look forward to when this is finally behind us. So, yeah. And I just want to thank you all thank everybody for just a lot of work. I mean, I know the food security work. I could go on and on. Just the incredible community leadership we've seen in Granby. So, I just want you to know I appreciate it.
Oh, and I know I speak for the board too, and the other boards and committees in the town. We greatly appreciate that statement, Senator. Thank you again.
Take care.
Take care. Stay safe. All right. Moving forward. We have a local licensing board hearing for 60 West 8th Street, transfer of a license.
Notice is
Yes,
hereby
gentlemen.
Notice is hereby given under Chapter 138 of the Massachusetts General Laws that the Granby Select Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, March 1st, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. to consider the transfer of a retail Section 15 package store all alcoholic beverage off premises license from Iron Liquors Inc. to Pushera Inc. and 2, to consider Padmashri V. Patel as manager. Premises described as follows: business with full basement, front entrance, and side rear entrance located at 60 West State Street, Granby, Mass.
Hello?
You're on mute, Glenn.
Yes, this is Attorney Henry. This is Attorney Henry Levin, and I represent the applicant here.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, this is for a transfer of the all alcoholic beverage liquor license and the change of manager. The petitioner is the Pushera Inc., which is a mass corporation, which the sole stockholder is Surabhai Patel. He owns 100% of the stock. The manager is going to be Padmashri Patel, which happens to be his daughter-in-law. And she has experience in several other businesses and with a bank. The family owns several different ones, but this is Mr. Patel, the owner of the stockholder of the applicant, has 2 other stores currently. It's being financed, just for your information. Rockland Trust is taking a mortgage, and the seller is taking back a small note for the inventory.
All right. Are there any questions from the board members?
Not for me.
Dan? No? Okay. All right. So as you said, it's a transfer from Mr. Patel to his daughter-in-law?
No, no,
No?
it's a different Patel.
Oh,
He
okay.
has, the seller has nothing to do with the buyer.
Oh, okay.
It's the owner of the applicant is the father-in-law of the manager.
Okay, I got it now.
Right. It's still Patel. I don't know if you're aware, but Patel is a very common name in with Indian people.
I just found out.
No, really, because I've dealt with a lot of them, and this seems to be the common name.
Oh, okay. All right.
Does anybody have any questions that they would like answered?
I think we're all set. I think the board doesn't have any questions.
Yeah.
To
All
move
right.
forward.
Mr. Chair, you need to close the hearing.
So this time we'll close the, three comments, the open public hearing.
Okay.
Any questions from the public at this time? No, okay. So we'll close the public portion of the meeting at this time. And discuss it with the board. Anybody have any concerns with the transfer of the license?
I have no concerns.
I presume the chief or whatever did a background check for all these licenses, so as long as nobody has a problem with that, I don't have a problem.
All right.
We don't do anything with the,
You're,
whoever.
okay.
Alright.
Didn't know. I know you do background checks on other people, but I didn't know if you did on this or not.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
all that's required is the query check on both the manager and the proposed owner. I did do those with the query system, and they both came back clean.
I'll move to transfer the liquor license from Iron Liquors to Pushera Inc. and to consider Padmashri Patel as manager.
I will second
Thank you.
Jen's motion.
Thank you, Jen. Is there any further discussion at this time? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, you're all set, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks to you and the board.
Yeah.
My people, as I say, my client knows the business, and it'll be a benefit to the town. Believe me.
That's great to hear, and we do appreciate it.
Yep.
You have a good night.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Move on to citizen participation. Do we have anybody? I know I always call it the audience because I feel like it's the audience around the meeting here. But is there anybody that has any type of participation for this evening? Okay. All right. Not hearing any. We'll move along to our town administrator. The update, anything else in regards to the 202 water main project? Heard a lot about it already.
Basically, Mr. Chair, there was a webinar on February 24th. That was held by the Franklin Regional Council of Governments. Myself and Jay Joyce did listen in on that webinar. They did talk about Mass Works program. They did talk about the municipal vulnerability program. They talked about the state revolving loan fund, which you can get both water and wastewater projects funded through, apply and try and get funding for. And additionally, they had a USDA representatives there talking about the programs through them. It was interesting because the USDA does have money they put aside specifically for communities less than 7,000. So I'm going to be contacting those people. I'm also going to be putting in an expression of interest with, you heard Senator Lester talk about the One Stop website. Basically, that's a site where you go in, you put an expression of interest in for a proposed infrastructure project, and multiple agencies, funding agencies, go to that one site, and you can start having conversations with them. So I want to put the water project there also. And then there was another program that they had out there called BRIC, which was for infrastructure type of programs, but that won't apply to the water project. I think that was more for like bridges and roads and those type of culverts and things of that nature. It was a very informative seminar, 2-hour seminar, but it was very informative. And I am planning on moving forward with talking to Mass DEP with the Municipal Vulnerability Program and mainly USDA to try and see what we can do for monies. It was interesting because USDA, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, had talked about they fund for putting backup generators on pump stations for the sewer. We've been doing that ourselves. So we're going to see if we can apply for, I think we still have one pump station that needs a backup generator, see if maybe they'll fund that type of thing. I also want to, like I said, put in for, see if we can get means to put in for the whole water project and see if maybe the state or the USDA or a combination thereof would be able to assist us in trying to get this water line put in a rapid nature.
That's good stuff. And
It was very,
Chris,
very good.
thank you to really you and Jay for taking part in that seminar too, because it sounds like there's some good things that came out of it.
Yeah, the slides and the tape just came out late today, and Kathy forwarded it to both of you. Just a reminder of reading it. The recording is only going to be up there until 15 March. So if you have any intentions of watching it, like Chris says, it's under 2 hours. You better do it before 15 March, because they say they're taking the recording down then. As Chris stated, it was very informative. There's a lot of money out there, and we even help towns that have wells get water from towns that have water. That was even stated as part of the program they had. So myself, I chuckled when they said that.
Hey, it definitely describes us.
Yes, it did. That's why I chuckled when they said that. And along with that, I think, again, we have two priorities we have to do. We have to update the community compact so we get more points on, we send this stuff forward, because our community compact hasn't been updated since 2015 for the town. And we had looked at, the Economic Development Committee had set forward to the two things we could do is economic development and information technology infrastructure. That's for the entire town. That's not for any particular place. And if we had that in place, I believe it was June, when the pandemic was coming out, all the 55 communities in Massachusetts that had information technology down and their community compact got funded for that. Because everybody was complaining with remote learning and stuff. So I really think we have to update the community compact. And then I'll just state the same thing I do all the time. We need to get Mr. Martin and Miss Leonard some more help. It doesn't make a difference to me if it's full-time help or contract. There is no way that these people, never mind the regular work that's got to be done, then you add the COVID on top of it, then all you add this, there's no way they can get all this work done. Once you look at all those slides, and if you watch that tape on all the money that's available for, like Chris said, for culverts, for generators, for water, sewer infrastructure, everything. And then there was one lady that was incorrect, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she was the USDA lady that says they have money they don't use each year. Wasn't she the one that said that, Chris?
Yeah, she was. They have yet to refuse a project because they've always had money to be able to fund everything that's been submitted.
So as a saying that I always use, you can get laid off from your job, but you can't collect unemployment unless you apply. Well, it's gonna be the same thing for all of these things that we can get. If we don't apply for them, we just won't get them because they don't know we need them.
No, definitely. And like I said, it seems it was a good seminar with some great information, and sounds like we may have some hope to receive some funding from a couple of different places.
I would encourage both of you. I think it was about an hour and a half with 30 minutes for questions, Chris. If I'm not out of line with the term.
Yeah.
She was trying to keep them all in tow so we could have a period for questions and answers.
And like Chris said, you know, there's a lot of money out there, but you have to apply for it. And we need resources, and we need to get the community compact up. Those are got to be our high priorities to get this stuff done, get all this work processed. I mean, even if Eric goes back and gets a delay for the time for the water project, if we don't apply for this and the money, what's he going to think?
No,
I
makes
think we
sense.
definitely need to do that. Sorry, Jen.
Oh, you're fine, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely, Jay. I think we definitely need to go after things that are out there right now. And you know, Chris has already spoken to doing some of that already, so that's great to hear. Like you said too, with the center, definitely we need to do our part. We're asking him to help us, so we need to do our part as well. Good stuff. And hey,
I just got a question for Chris.
Yep.
I got one quick question for Chris. That tape that's only good to March the 15th on that Franklin County Government site, is there a way we could download that for ourselves for future use, to use over and over again? Because they talked about so many different subjects.
Let me go out and look what the size of it is and see if I can just do it that way. If not, maybe we can send up a thumb drive and have them download it onto a thumb drive. That way we could have it available for whenever.
But you see what I'm saying? There was just so much there. It's hard to contemplate all of it at once. And if they're going to drop it off the site 15 March, we can keep that for the future and use it as each project comes up without reinventing the wheel. It was a very good workshop.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Jay. It really does, because you can go back to it and reference it at any time we need to. Good point. All right. Well, is there anything else in regards to that? No. All right. Correspondence. Do you have any correspondence?
I have a couple items, Mr. Chair. The Charter Day Committee had attended a Zoom Board of Health meeting, and she wanted me to read this statement to the board. Dear Select Board, it is with deep regret that the Granby Charter Days Committee suggests that Charter Days for 2021 be canceled. After attending the Board of Health meeting on February 16th, it was brought to our attention that the vaccination rollout is already 16 weeks behind schedule. Therefore, the Board of Health does not believe the community and the surrounding communities would have herd immunity by June 11th. In addition, restrictions may not be lifted by Governor Baker by then. And in order to have charter days, there needs to be no restrictions to maximize the profits so that charter days can occur the following year. Due to the risk of putting a large group of people together in one defined area without herd immunity, it is suggested that charter days be canceled, especially since the people spreading COVID-19 are usually asymptomatic. Thank you for your time, and we await your final decision. Sincerely, Crystal Dufresne, Charter Day Committee, Granby, Mass.
I don't see why we would move forward with it based on the recommendation of the committees and the Board of Health. I mean, obviously. It's sad because I know a lot of people look forward to it and understanding there's reasons why we can't have it. But I wish there was something that somehow the committee can come up with something that we could do to really recognize the celebration of our town. You know, we don't have to have a party, if you will, but maybe there's something that we could do somehow to recognize it. Maybe it's, you know, some type of fundraiser or something they could do. I don't know, just something that we could, that just doesn't come and go, but there's something that we could do to recognize it, or, you know, maybe having, I don't know, glass mugs or something like that, something sold or something. It'd be nice to, so it doesn't pass by. Jen, Jay, anything?
I'm sad, but I appreciate them, you know, not moving forward at this point because there's going to be no way we can do this.
Yes, I'm with Jen. I agree with Crystal as well. Nothing, it's out of our control. We do the best we can.
We got one more topic too, Mr. Chair. We did receive notification from the Department of Revenue certifying our free cash effective July 1, 2020. It is $1,353,314. The certified retained earnings for the Sewer Enterprise Fund is $320,305. For the Ambulance Enterprise Fund, it's $196,544. And for the Municipal Solid Waste Enterprise Fund, it's $279,325.
Gee, that would pay for the water.
Yeah. I always like that word free cash, but there's nothing free about it. So.
I only had one question about all our reading under correspondence, since that's what Chris is doing now. There was something about the fire department blew some garage door openers and stuff because of the power surge that was created. I know it, I lost my power here. I imagine everybody else did too. Is that something that we could recoup the money on from them, or is that just an act of God?
What you're talking about, Jay,
Because that's a big,
that was under departmental reports, Jeremy's departmental report, where he
okay,
talked
I thought it
about
was
the
from-
town-wide power outage, and it can be
Yes.
traced back to the solar field on East Street being brought online, and I guess it created a surge that blew some piece of equipment near the fields. And when it came back on, that it created a surge, and I believe it shorted out two of the circuit boards, I think, on two of them, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong with the third one. I haven't heard. We may try and put in for an insurance claim, but we do have a $2,500 deductible. As to trying to recoup it from the owners of the solar field, I'm not sure if it'll be them or National Grid you would have to go after, because it was the process of coming back online that probably shorted them, and not the fact that the power went out.
The only thing I'd say is if someone was at fault, someone should be held accountable. We shouldn't be the ones that's, inquiring a bill if someone wasn't done correctly. And I'm not saying that by any means, but something wasn't done correctly or something occurred where, we received damage as a town, that should be for us to somehow recoup the cost versus us going through our insurance company. I don't know if we'd ever know.
That was my only point, Glenn, was the way we could get some money back for it instead of paying it out of pocket.
Point.
Chris, I have a question about the free cash calculation. The other receivables, overdrawn accounts, and deficits, those are things that have overspent their budgets? Okay. And do we charge those different outlets the difference out of this year's budget? No? Okay. Just checking.
Anything else, Chris? Okay. We can move forward off to our upcoming postings, I guess we call it, for the chief of police and the fire chief, classified ads. If you want to walk us through those, Chris, if you would.
As you directed me, I'm going to do the police chief one first. As I was directed to try and put together a classified ad for our police chief. Basically, I had gone out to the MMA website, found, I think it was 3 separate job postings. And I took each of them and I combined them into a proposed want ad for the board to consider whether we want to go forward with this. At the same time, I included the current job description we have on file for the police chief to see if the board wanted to make any additional changes, additions, or deletions to the existing job description.
Chris, the only question one question I have, other minimum required qualifications. Well, it's noted in the beginning in the description. The one at plus under page 3, minimum required qualifications. I don't know if we can define more where it says or any equivalent combination of education and experience. Yeah, it just leads to, I think if we can't define what that any equivalent combination would be, then I think we just kind of leaves that open to more interpretation as to what that would be. So let me just take that out. I think what you have here for qualifications, I think is reasonable for police chief.
Chris, can we just do a word change? Word change under physical requirements. Same page, page 3.
Okay.
Can we change finger to manipulate?
No, finger,
Mm-mm.
manipulate.
Thank you.
You may also want to put in here how to maybe. Might be able to want to put in here too is as to how they could place it in, whether it's electronically or someone can email it to you or by mail.
How does the board want them to be received?
Well, I just think if we, today's day and age with COVID and everything, it definitely should be either or electronically or by mail. I think both.
I think both. The mail is not very reliable right now, and you could send something from Granby and get it to another town, in another house in Granby in 2 weeks.
Milan's is postmarked by April 2nd. Or you say through the emails that are sent, as long as they're sent by noon time on April 2nd. I'm fine with that.
A lot of the stuff we do with the state, it has by them in an email by a date time stamp, but it's followed up with a hard copy with original signatures later. Is that what you're thinking of? Or are you just happy with an email, that's it?
I know, I saw that.
Either way you want to go, fine with me.
Yeah, I'm just thinking with COVID that, you probably won't be getting a lot of people to drop it off, but, I think we should have some options so people can, like you said, send it electronically by email or by mail.
I have no problem with that. I'm just saying with a lot of stuff, from the legal standpoint, we do it by email, but we follow up with hard copy, with original signatures by snail mail.
All right, I don't know if we have any legal things that someone signing off on their resume though, right? There's nothing will require a hard copy. And most allow them probably bring a hard copy to their interview anyways.
Yeah, but I
A lot of
would
times you want the hard
use
copy.
cautious there.
They send electronically, sometimes the scanned image doesn't come out that well, okay? So sometimes you want the hard copy, that's all.
And we could ask for that, I guess. I mean, do we want both, or if we can't read someone's hard copy, then we can request them to send. And sorry, if we can't read their electronic part by email, we could ask for them to send it by mail. Okay.
Well, I'll make those changes. You want me to put it immediately into the newspaper as soon as possible?
Yeah, I like for it to get into I like putting it into the newspaper as soon as possible.
Okay. I may delay it a week, maybe make it to April 9th, just so you know, because the publishing dates, depending upon how far out it is, I may want to delay by one more week, just so you know.
Then we can change the bottom portion. I'm assuming that's the last time it was maybe put out there, the March 29th, 1999.
Yeah, well, we're making a change, so yes, there will be a new date on there.
The updated version. Okay. All right. All right.
Okay, and then the next one you had me work on was for fire chief. I have a concern on continuing with the fire chief one. And while I did do a ad and I did give you a copy of the job description that the town has on file, there is a concern with the strong chiefs law for fire chief. While we may have terminated the former fire chief, unless, and I know that he has opted to go through arbitration to contest the termination. If the arbitrator rules against the town in our decision to terminate, they could require us to reinstate the former chief back to the position. Okay. The issue that I'm having is that under strong chiefs, you are a fire chief with the town, until either you are let go for just cause, B, you resign, C, you retire, D, you get a job with another community or jurisdiction as a fire chief. My problem becomes is, even if we choose not to renew his contract under strong chief, he will still be the fire chief. Okay, so I would like to delay this a little bit. and see if our current interim chief wants to continue in the position, to give us time to decide how to proceed with regarding strong chief's law and the former chief. I don't know how the board feels about that.
I would support that right now. I don't think we're in a position to move forward.
Jay?
Well, as far as the former fire chief, since I have not received all the information that's been going on, I'm just going to abstain and let you two decide what you think is best for the town. Because I don't want to make the wrong decision on a lack of information.
Chris, based on what you're saying, it does make sense right now to hold off on it, especially based on the arbitration and what the outcome of that could be. So I would agree. At this point, probably just to hold on it a little bit. We can have that conversation with our interim chief right now and make a decision from there at that point. There's definitely some concerns that we need to take into consideration as far as moving forward. From it would be the liability to the town. So that's something that we need to consider at this point. So I think waiting is a good suggestion to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Right. Moving right along. Departmental reports. Jen, any concerns, comments, questions in regards to the departmental report?
No, well, kind of a concern. I noticed in one of Jeremy's reports that he had noticed that there were donuts in ruts in the Kendall side field of Dufresne's Park. So I know that we have been talking about getting the guardrails up, and I know the ground got too hard, too fast for us to do that because of the trees being taken down. But can we make that a priority? I was at Dufresne's the other day, and the ruts are bad in the field. The field is damaged.
So you want the rails put up?
As soon as the ground thaws, I want the rails put up.
Well,
Dave Rocher to schedule time to send the equipment over to get lifted.
No, and I know that was the problem because Dave was very busy taking down that mass amount of trees, and I know we still have trees to come down, but I'm hoping he can carve out maybe half a day to a day to get that done.
well,
Okay, Chris is muted. I can't hear what he's saying.
kind of shook his head, yes. But just what Jen's talking about, the ground isn't really frozen anymore. I would definitely check with Dave and see, get a timeline that can be done, so we know and make it a priority. The damage to the fields, when it comes time to cutting the grass and stuff like that, creates damage to the mowers and things like that. And we just bought some expensive mowers and things like that, so definitely something needs to become a priority before more damage is done. Like I said, if the ground's terribly that frozen where the holes can't be dug. Jay, do you have anything?
No, I agree with Jen about the ruts, just like, and it seems to be ongoing, whether it's Dufresne's Park or even to some extent over at West Street School. And unfortunately, I don't know what the fix is, because by the time our police department gets there, they're gone. What can I say? We're just a small town and that's it.
Yeah, we'll see about if we can stop the access into the areas, and hopefully that will stop it. West Street School, didn't we have telephone poles or something put in the front there, I thought, so they couldn't get in?
You can still drive around from the front entrance over around the back behind. Yeah. They've been out there in the far field by the backstop doing donuts.
No, maybe we should take some of those trees we cut down and put them over there. We can get over them, leasing cars and stuff like that. But, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate those things happen and cause damage to areas that obviously have a money tag that goes with it to repair them and things like that. So, all right. What a motion, Jen. Departmental reports.
I'll move to accept the departmental reports.
Second.
I'll second Jen's motion, department reports.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jen. Any further discussion? All right. All in favor of accepting the departmental reports?
Aye.
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 Now, did Chris want any motions or vote on the police and the fire chief? Because I abstained from the fire chief. Or was that discussion good enough?
Yeah, the discussion was nothing like we actually have a vote to tell them to do it.
Did you have any concerns, Jay, with any of the discussion? Basically, I was told on the police chief to change the method of being able to submit to either by mail, postmarked no later than April 2nd, 2021, or electronically no later than noon on April 2nd, 2021, to be followed up with a hard copy, mailed hard copy. And on the fire chief, I think it was decided to delay advertising until we can determine what's going to happen regarding the former fire chief and his termination.
Okay, I didn't hear that part. You people are coming in broken from time to time. So I'm trying to piece together, because I see you, and like Chris is talking now, but he's muted. So it must be coming through one of your other microphones. So I'm not catching everything. Because I did say on the fire chief that I would abstain because I haven't received the information and I didn't want to make a wrong decision. I don't know if you heard that or not, Glenn, when I said it.
No, I did hear that, Jay. No, I did. And Jen and I had discussed it, and I think it's just more of a directive from the board to Mr. Martin that we'd hold on that, and then the directive to he's going to make the changes to the police chief, and that he'll send out to be put in the newspaper on March 9th. Is that correct?
I have no problem with the police chief at all. I just wanted to make sure it was understood about the fire chief. That was all.
Okay.
The police chief, I will get it in the newspaper as soon as possible. Okay, because I know there's usually a delay in publishing, being able to publish, but we will advertise as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
I was saying maybe if, depending upon what the publishing date we can get, the earliest, the April 2nd date may be changed to a later date, like a week later or something of that nature.
Okay. All right. And I will apologize for people that are listening, because sometimes as we're speaking, especially here, sometimes we have to turn off our microphone so we don't get feedback. And unfortunately, sometimes we forget to turn the microphone back on. And it's always good to get those reminders from someone if believe me, and nowadays it's even harder because you can't see our lips moving with the mask on. So please, I do apologize because I know it does happen time to time. All right, moving forward, we have common vic licenses to approve and sign.
You have maintenance warrants. You have the warrants first. Mr.
Well, we do
Chair.
have common vic licenses, don't we? All right, so I'm not,
Do you want to move item number 3 up?
yeah, I can do that. Just covering up my mistake, that's all. We'll move on to the maintenance warrants.
Okay, you have 3 warrants in front of you. Warrant number 51 dated February 19th, 2021, in the amount of $438,460.91. That is a payroll warrant. We have warrant number 52 dated 2/19/2021, in the amount of $177,827.44. That is the maintenance warrant that goes along with the payroll warrant. Then we have warrant number 53 dated 2/26/2021, in the amount of $312,187.36. That is a bill paying warrant.
All right. Done?
Sorry, I'm getting hungry. My brain's going away. I'll move to approve and sign maintenance warrants number 51, 52, and 53.
I will second Jen's motion as read.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jen. Is there any further discussion in regards to the maintenance warrant as read by Mr. Martin? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. All right. Common vic license.
Mr. Chair, you have 1 common victualler's license. It is license number 21-24 to the Church of Christ Congregational, 235 State Street, Granby, Mass. Expiring December 31st, 2021. And it is a fee of $25, and I am making a recommendation that that fee be waived, as we usually waive it for any religious organization.
Thank you, Chris. Jen, motion.
I'll move to approve and sign common vic license 21-24 for the Church of Christ, expiring 12/31/2021, and waiving the license fee.
So
For a
moved.
second. All right, thank you, Jay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Yeah, that's something else see every day. Proven and signed junk license.
We have license number 21-01 to Mark Kendall Jr., doing business as the Gold Standard, 185 West State Street, Granby, Mass. 01033, for the purchase, sale, or barter of junk, old metals, or secondhand articles, expiring December 31st, 2021, fee $5.
I wonder how long that license has been around. Consider it, so they still call it a junk license.
That's what it says in the statutes, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know, that, but imagine how long that's still around, where they still call it a junk license. All right. Jen, motion?
I'll move to approve and sign junk license 21-01 for Mark Kendall Jr., DBA Gold Standard, expiring 12/31/2021.
So moved.
Thank you, folks. Any further discussion at this time? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. One last thing, entertainment license.
License number 2105 for the Church of Christ Congregational, 235 State Street, Granby, Mass. 01023, to provide entertainment for various events of the church on the common located at 235 State Street, Granby, Mass. Expires December 31st, 2021. Fee is $50, and again, I am requesting that the fee of $50 be waived.
Thank you, Chris. Jen?
I'll move to approve and sign the entertainment license 21-05 for the Church of Christ expiring December 31st, 2021, waiving the
moved.
fee.
Is there a second?
He did.
Oh, sorry. My volume was turned down a little bit. Okay. All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, folks. Is there anything else, Chris? This time, no. Oh,
Yes, there is one item, is that I believe you have conflict for the next meeting on March 15th. And I believe Miss Sofa has a health issue that's going to be coming up on the 15th, that she won't be able to make it. So do you want to postpone the meeting until the next Monday, March 22nd?
that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, works for me. How about you, Jay?
Okay. Jay?
I was just looking at my calendar. That's the 22nd we want to move it to, right?
Yes.
Okay, I have no problem with moving it to the 22nd.
Perfect. Thank you.
The 22nd at 5 o'clock.
Move it right now.
Mr. Chair, I may want to make that 5:30, just for a reason that we had talked about earlier today in the
Okay.
executive session.
Okay, that's fine. 5:30.
So it's 5:30 on the 22nd you want me to put in here.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Correct.
And then there's one other item, is it didn't make it on this agenda, but at that meeting, the planning board is planning on doing a bylaw change, and we will be bringing it forward to be addressed by the board at our meeting on the 22nd.
Okay. Fine. All right. Jen or Jay, do you have anything else before we go to closure?
Nothing fear.
I think we've, with Miss Senator Lesser here tonight, I think we've discussed about everything that's open, I believe.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, all right. Well, this time we're going to move into executive session and then Mass General Law 30-A 21-A-2. This time I'll call for a roll call vote from the board members and
Joyce, aye.
Silva, aye.
Sexton, aye. And the only reason we'll come out of executive session into regular session is to adjourn at that time. Folks,
Okay, moving.
thank you all, everybody else here tonight. Always appreciate the attendance. Take care, stay safe. Thank you.